let's get some more analysis now. We can bring in Paul Smith, who's an associate professor in French and Francophone studies at the University of Nottingham. Thank you very much for joining us on France 24. The French people have again then come out to block the far right from gaining more political power. Are you surprised by this, and would you qualify this as a win for the so-called Republican Front?
Well, I think we were all surprised by it. None of us, certainly none of the polls suggested that the left would do as well as it did. So the Republican bloc, the system of standing down in favour of one candidate or another to stop the national rally, that worked. That's the first thing. It's very difficult to see, however, how things will go forward for the left-wing bloc and if they can govern. It's still on a large number of unknowables, and I think what Sophie was saying there about the negotiations within the left bloc will be critical. Obviously, they will. Attal's position very unclear. Actually, I'm not sure if he will or whether his resignation will be formally accepted or not, but the caretaker status will be there. I think the problem here is that we've got a large number of far right-wing voters who will feel incredibly frustrated. And I think this does set things up for a difficult 3 years ahead and a very antagonistic lead into the next presidential election.
All right, I want to go back to the campaign then, just for the national rally. In between the first round and the second round, what happened? We know that in the media, we had a lot of attention on some of these controversial candidates that were running that had previously made racist or anti-Semitic comments. Is there anything to be said about the lack of specifics in its policies?
I think what we really saw, one of the things that comes out of this campaign is that actually we began to see the real national rally. And that's been one of its functions for me. Very interesting to see the new generation of spokesmen and spokeswomen appearing on various French media outlets, whether it's been on the sort of more sort of mainstream broadcasters or others such as CNews or BFM TV, all of those. A great deal of coverage of the extremes, and that's been something that we can think about. That's its impact, but I think it has shown, particularly with these kind of untrained national rally representatives, that they've kind of given the game away. And I think that there's an awful lot of thought to be put into from the opposition to the national rallies. A lot of thought to be put into how one could sort of drill down into what their policies really mean. And I think that has had a galvanizing effect on if you like, the Republican bloc against the national rally.
And do you see any effect then on France's being able to host the Olympics and Paralympic Games? If Gabriel Attal stays on in a caretaker position, will this calm things down, and can we expect some kind of stability during this period?
I think so. I think I think that this is a good result for the Olympic Games. I don't necessarily think there's an Olympic factor here, but I think the Olympic Games will go ahead. They will be a success, and you can carry on without politics intervening too much. Although it's very rare that you can keep politics out of sport. But in that sense, that there's no particular problem to stop the Olympic Games going forward. Attal as caretaker can see that through. We're going to go into a period of management, as well as those incredibly intense negotiations between political parties. But for the time being, the Olympics will go ahead, and they will be, I'm sure, an absolute success.
And one might say that the DNA of French politics is all about no coalition, no compromise, really one party having a majority and making the rules. Do you think that this will have to change going forward?
I think that there's going to be a significant, that we've all used the word horse trading. It's very difficult to see exactly how a group on the left might break the new Popular Front and perhaps rally to the centre. Obviously, the leaders of the not so much, well, certainly Mélenchon has ruled that out. Last night, Olivier Faure and even Marine Tondelier were being very, very resistant to that idea. Is there scope for a centre left government? At the moment, there doesn't seem to be. But this course, was part of the strategy of Macron, was to break up the left and try to govern on a kind of rainbow coalition. So we're going into a very difficult period of French politics. Of course, the Fifth Republic was designed to cope with that, but it's really designed to cope with that in relation to the president leading, creating blocs, power blocs, usually an opposition and a majority bloc, and we don't have that emerging yet. So although the Fifth Republic can cope with these things, we are into completely new territory.
And what about the New Popular Front then? Typically, these parties have had difficulty agreeing on a range of issues. Do you think that they can now unite to come together and try to at least govern in some way or another?
It's very interesting. The balance of power between them will be a major issue when we break up the composition of the New Popular Front. How many seats has La France Insoumise got? Are they the bigger partner? The socialists, from what we gather, have done far better than they did last time round. They've doubled their seats. Are there the same number of socialists? The Greens have done well as well. So it's the balance within the New Popular Front that's going to be absolutely critical to this. Who will emerge as the potential leader from the various different factions? Is there, in fact, a consensus even within La France Insoumise about, let's say, for the sake of argument, Mélenchon as their potential candidate for the for Matignon, the prime ministerial post? So it's really about the balance of power within that group. Within that alliance, that will tell us an awful lot. And I think today's meeting, although today's meeting is critical, it won't be the be all and end all. It won't be the final stage of this development of this remarkable result for the left.
All right, Paul Smith, thank you very much for your analysis. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. Paul Smith, who's an associate professor in French and Francophone studies at the University of Nottingham.